I never imagined that one decision, one fleeting moment of curiosity could change my life so dramatically. It started with something so mundane, so innocent, a knock at the door. He wasn't just any neighbor. He was Mr. Carter, the 60-year-old gentleman who had lived next door for as long as I could remember. Everyone in the neighborhood respected him, admired his calm demeanor and timeless charm. But what I discovered that day shattered every preconceived notion I had of him, and of myself. The rain was pouring relentlessly that afternoon, and I had just returned home from running errands. As I stepped inside, drenched, I heard faint knocking from next door. At first I ignored it, assuming it was just the sound of rain hitting the windows. But the knocking persisted. Something urged me to check. When I opened his door, I found it slightly ajar. "Mr. Carter?" I called out hesitantly, the sound of my voice echoing through the hallway. There was no response, but I could hear the faint trickle of water coming from his bathroom. Worried something might have happened to him, I stepped inside, my heart racing. The house was quiet, eerily so. I followed the sound of the water, each step feeling heavier than the last. As I approached the bathroom, the door was slightly open and steam wafted out, clouding the air. I hesitated, unsure if I should go further, but concern for his safety pushed me forward. "Mr. Carter, are you okay?" I asked again, louder this time. That's when I saw him. He stood there under the shower, his back turned to me, the water cascading down his broad shoulders. For a man his age, his physique was striking, almost surreal. I froze, unable to look away, caught between embarrassment and something I couldn't quite name. I should have left. I should have turned around and pretended I never saw anything. But I didn't. Instead, he turned, sensing my presence. His eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. The tension in the room was palpable, the kind of tension that makes your chest tighten and your breath catch. "Is everything all right?" he finally asked, his voice steady, yet tinged with curiosity. I stammered an apology, trying to explain why I was there, but my words came out jumbled and incoherent. He reached for a towel, wrapping it around his waist, and stepped out of the shower, his presence commanding yet oddly comforting. "You were worried about me," he said, a small smile playing on his lips. "That's kind of you." What happened next defied all logic, all reason. We began to talk, not about what had just occurred, but about life, about things we'd never shared with anyone else. His vulnerability surprised me. Beneath the calm, composed exterior was a man who had endured heartache, loss, and loneliness. And somehow, in that moment, I became his confidant. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and before I knew it, hours had passed. The rain outside had stopped, but inside, a storm was brewing. The lines between neighborly concern and something much deeper began to blur. His gaze lingered longer than it should have, and my heart raced in response. Every instinct told me to leave, to put distance between us. But I couldn't. He reached out, his hand brushing against mine, and the electricity of that touch sent shivers down my spine. "You don't have to stay," he said softly, almost as if giving me an out. But his eyes betrayed him, revealing a longing that mirrored my own. In that moment, I made a choice, one that would haunt me, excite me, and change everything. I leaned in, closing the distance between us, and let the unspoken tension finally erupt.